welcome to this presentation in which I will be introducing my CLIL-based lesson plan, which integrates also ICTs, information and communication technologies, into English language teaching. And my lesson will focus on hip hop. It's a music lesson which aims to engage students through creativity, collaboration, and cultural exploration of a genre that's very close to them. Most of them listen to it. Okay, so first of all, what is CLIL? So CLIL stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning. So it's a methodology in which students learn both a language and also the subject which they are working. In this case, they learn about music through English, but it can be many different subjects. And so CLIL makes language learning more engaging because students are using language to understand real world topics, to communicate, and not just focusing on the language itself. So the methodology focuses on contextual learning. It's not learning by itself of just a structure or vocabulary. It makes students learn English in context, in real world experiences. Therefore, it makes English more engaging and more relevant because it puts them in situations which are real and which are useful actually to the students, and that enhances their motivation and their interest in learning English. And lastly, it develops their thinking skills because they're required to process information in both the subject which they're studying and the target language, in this case English. So it develops their critical thinking skills. Okay, so why ICT in CLIL? Why is it important? First of all, because it enhances engagement and collaboration between them. ICT fosters an interactive environment in which students can participate in their learning process. They can engage in it. They can collaborate with peers online, not necessarily in person. Also, it develops their digital literacy, which is very important. Students nowadays, some of them are not have not been introduced properly into the hazards of digital communication, and so it's important for them to be introduced to the digital world, which is very present in their lives, but sometimes they don't have enough information or enough tools to discriminate the information they receive, the messages that they can receive. And lastly, it connects the language learning experience with creation, with creativity. For example, in this case, they're gonna study hip hop, but they're also gonna do their own rap. So it connects the language learning with creativity, with something creative. Okay, so the content in this case is going to be music, and more specifically hip hop. To me, it's very important because it's a cultural movement that includes rhythm, storytelling, dancing, also a very strong identity, and it connects with students' lives, and it can provide material for them to express themselves and also to learn about a culture that's very relevant to them nowadays. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on third of ESO, on the characteristics of this group age. They are developing their identity and social skills. They are more open to creative expression. Um, and so I thought hip hop music would be perfect because it's a way to freely express yourself and has been historically used to vindicate social rights and movements, which is something that is very relevant to students of this age. Moreover, they're more ready for critical thinking at that age, and so hip hop I think is perfect for that. And they have a lot of potential for creativity. So the activities are not only focused on learning about the history and culture of hip hop, but also they're centered around creating a hip hop and creating rap. Okay, so the objectives of the lessons are, in terms of content, I want students to understand key events in the history of hip hop, In terms of language, I would like them to practice the past simple and use time expressions and music related vocabulary, and also produce short written and spoken texts, especially spoken. And in ICTs, I would like them to use digital tools to research, compose, and present multimedia creations. Okay, so the selection I made is Canva and Prezi or Google Slides for creating digital timelines. I'm using Prezi right now, for example. Also, Soundtrap or BandLab for creating their own hip hop beats. And lastly, CapCut or iMovie for recording and editing their performances. Okay, so the first activity is going to be a hip hop history timeline. They're gonna research the history of hip hop. They're gonna create a timeline using the past tense and sequence connectors to articulate the progression of the history. And they're also going to make a presentation, so they will use their oral skills in order to present it. These are the three um, important things for me in this activity. Okay, second activity is going to be to make a hip hop beat. So they're going to explore some beats before, then they're going to compose a short beat using the ICT tools that I provided for them, and then they're going to reflect with their peers on the choices they made about the beat that they created. And the third and last activity is going to be writing and performing a rap. So they were going to develop their writing skills and their creative skills, and they're going to do it, and then they're going to record it using CapCut or iMovie, which is going to strengthen their pronunciation and their fluency and also their confidence, because it takes confidence for them to record themselves. Okay, and so thanks to ICT, they're going to develop their creativity and their motivation, because and it's also going to equip them with essential skills for the modern world, and it's going to allow them to learn real world language use, and also it's going to make it more relevant and engaging. The apps that I provided for them, they're very creative, they're fun to use. And so the conclusion um, is that they're um, it's going to these activities are going to enhance the learning experience. CLIL and ICT together create a dynamic classroom environment in which students can actively participate in their learning. It's going to be a meaningful language learning experience, not just learning from a book, vocabulary, or grammar, but learning it integrated into an experience and not realizing that they're learning it. And it's going to empower them through hip hop to express themselves, to create their own raps, their own text, to protest, to be rebel, and to follow the guidelines that hip hop culture provides for them. And here are the references I used. Thank you for listening.